Yes, there is a fear or a resistance in us to let go of our sense of separation, although it is at the same time the one thing we long for above all else. Mm-hmm. For instance, sometimes people long for intimate relationship, and at the same time they fear intimacy. They keep finding themselves going towards intimate relationship, and just as they get to the brink, they pull back again. Why? Because in intimate relationship there is a brief loss of the sense of separation. It's what we long for. That's why we love intimate relationship. There is a brief, a temporary cessation of the sense of separation, in which the separate self effectively dies temporarily. It doesn't die, it just goes to sleep. So we long for that because that is the end, albeit the temporary end, of separation. But it is also a kind of death. And for that reason, we pull back because we recognize we're going to dissolve, we're going to lose our customary boundary. It's just one example of it.
Yeah, but there is really this warning about how vicious ego can be. Like, it's really not your friend. It's the enemy within yourself.
I think that's a little severe.
Yeah, well, I'm
trying
to make it...
Is it really that bad?
Well,
I mean, the extreme versions of the ego can be vicious. It's true. It can be extreme, but...
Yeah, well, it's always
don't see the ego as a mistake or a problem. Just see it as a limitation on your true nature. If we make the ego the vicious one, or the devil, or if we judge it, we're just being vicious with the ego. We are being vicious with the vicious ego.
Mm-hmm.
Awareness willingly limits itself, knowingly and willingly limits itself in order to assume the form of the finite mind around whom the ego revolves, in order to bring manifestation into existence. In other words, in order to realize or make real a part of its infinite potential. So it is a kind of sacrifice. Consciousness gives birth to the world within itself and then loses itself in that world. In other words, becomes an ego in that world and then has to extricate itself from its own creativity. So it's not a mistake. It's ignorant, but not in a pejorative sense. Ignorant, but not stupid. Ignorant in the sense that it does require the ignoring of consciousness's own being. Consciousness must overlook or fall asleep to itself, and as a result, rise in the form of the finite mind. You have to fall asleep in Amsterdam to take the form of Jane on the streets of London. You have to fall asleep to the knowing of your own mind in order to realize a part of the potential of your mind. You do it willingly, but it comes at a price. So don't see the ego as something bad, something wrong, something that shouldn't have happened. If it shouldn't have happened, it wouldn't have happened. See it more as a temporary limitation on your true nature that you have freely assumed in order to bring the world into apparent existence, and that you are equally free at any moment to retrace your steps as an apparent ego to discover your true nature.